So go back to our timeline here. We have card systems. University of Colorado, July 21st, 2005. Anybody know this one? Did you go to CU?
No, but I've worked in the high-end security studio. I know those guys.
Yeah, me too. I used to work there. As a matter of fact, I used to use the student medical center because I went to school there. As a matter of fact, guess what got free? Or anything else, it's like, sorry, we lost your records. Somebody hacked into the health clinic and they own one of our systems for about a year. We don't know if they're going to do anything bad with it. Don't worry, it's just your social security number. Why? Because that was the student number. Now, when I worked in higher ed, because that's where... What?
All your homework, I mean.
Yeah, all your homework. Yeah, it's just your... I'm glad I had no colorectal exams back when I was there. They would have gotten those, too. So, student numbers were pretty much all they used back then when I was there, social numbers. And so that actually, there's a law passed, I can't remember what year, you might remember. What's the name of that law again? It's the FERPA? Yeah, that you cannot use social numbers or student numbers in higher ed. Yeah, I think it's FERPA. Anyway, so you're not supposed to use that stuff anymore. So that was my next breach that I was directly involved in. By the way, you notice the trend here. I mean, here, I'm just one normal dude talking. And these are all the breaches that I've been involved with, personally, in different ways. So we have, anybody ever worked for McAfee? I'm Williams still holds a grudge for this one. A Deloitte Touche employee left the CD with personal records of 9,290 McAfee employees in the seat back of the airplane as he got off of it. Probably no fraud associated with that, but a lot of disgruntled. Actually, I think McAfee people are really disgruntled right now for a lot of reasons. Hotels.com, another case where the auditor, their financial auditor, lost the records. Oops. Second Life. I don't even know the details of that one. But I just think it's interesting because I find Second Life to be one of the most useless things on the face of the planet. And then we have TJX. TJX, we need to talk. I'm going to warn you now, I'm running over on time, if that's all right. I know in the last session, if you really need to kick me out, we can do that. Let's see if you do it. TJX, The Strange Life of Albert Gonzalez. Not Alberto Gonzalez, who has another sordid life for those that follow politics at all. So this guy, senior year of high school, he faced some government service in India from his high school library. The librarian was a little confused when the FBI showed up and took 2 computers out of the high school library. He was told to stay away from computers for 6 months, but he otherwise did all work. He slapped his wrist. It was website basements, he didn't steal anything. What the hell? It's only India. So, you know, yeah. I mean, it's not like it's China or anything like that. It'll go over dead. So then he graduated high school in 1999. He was from Kearney, New Jersey. I'm from Jersey. Kearney's not one of the better places. So he becomes the leader behind the Shadowproof site, for those of you that know about this. This is one of those Carter trading sites. They estimated they probably did about $6.3 million of various fraud. $4.3 million went to the Shadowproof site. So in 2003, he's arrested by federal agents for possession of 15 fake credit and debit cards. Okay, so they arrested him in 2003. They flip him. So Johnny, that was his online handle, becomes a Secret Service informant for Operation Firewall. Now this was cool. The FBI totally owned the Shadowproof site, tracked everything that was going on, and when they were done, they actually defaced the Shadowproof site. And you saw Secret Service. And they had like the Secret Service logo on the top and everything else. So all these like Carters basically woke up one morning, went to log into their site, get their credit card numbers, and then they got to shit their pants instead of us for once. So 28 Shadowproof members were arrested. This was a huge operation. Turns out the FBI was investigating them at the same time. There was like an FBI agent who was trying to arrange a buy with Gonzalez, who was working for the Secret Service at the same time. They didn't coordinate across. It's like one of those movies where like everybody's arresting everybody else, and like they're all spies or agents or whatever. But they didn't believe 4.3 million was totally sold. So he finishes up his work. Secret Service says, "Nice job, thank you. You're off the hook now for cooperating." And he goes to Miami and founds a computer consulting service because that's what you do. So while in Miami, he starts what he called Operation Get Rich or Die Trying. In the end, they believe 1.6 million for sure, even though there's a lot more fraud associated with him. That's because they found 1.1 million later in a bag in his, like a 55-gallon drum in his parents, buried in his parents' backyard. And then they found 500,000 of other assets. So that was round one. This is round one. TJX. December 18th, TJX discovers that there's software in the system. Secret Service jumps in, all the credit card processors, everybody else gets involved. Breach goes public January 17, 2007. A little less than a month from the start of the investigation going public. 45.7 million customers initially affected by TJX. They charged off $5 million in the first 3 months just for investigating legal costs and remediation costs. Estimated losses totally rose up to $256 million. Sales rose 9% over that same time period to $4.3 billion. So everybody's talking about reputation damage if you suffer a breach. Can I use the word bullshit again? Yeah, they really suffer. Why don't organizations suffer from reputation damage with credit card breaches? Visa doesn't suffer.
Issuing bank
is acquiring bank suffer. You, as consumers, you don't pay the cost. You have the inconvenience. One of my cards got nailed with fraud. My business card for Securosis recently. The fraud guys are great. MasterCard called me up and they said, "Did you order, a football jersey?" And by football, I mean football, as in over in the UK, from this online site. No, I did not. All right. They canceled my account. The inconvenience to me was the fact that it took them a week to get me the card, even though they were supposed to overnight it. It was the end of the month, and all my recurring payments for our website and for my phone service, those things down. But that was the worst of it. We don't suffer financial losses as consumers, and that's why we don't care. My wife didn't care. Her stuff got lost in TJX. Oh, got a new card. Okay, it's got a better picture on it, a little code with word off the back. We're good to go.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the convenience.
Question.
Yeah.
I've heard different numbers of people impacted by TJX. Because I heard that the 4.5 million people impacted, that was mostly just a card number, and there was no names associated, but there was maybe about a quarter million people that had returned an item, and they had their name, credit card, driver's license.
Nobody knows for sure how much fraud was. They know for sure real fraud was associated with this, and I actually have the fraud numbers on the next slide when we talk about those. Yes?
I've really followed this quite a lot. You have to keep reading their SEC filings because these estimates keep going up and down.
Yeah.
As they settle things, they lower it. As they get sued, they raise it. I don't think the number's quite that high, but it's still a really big number.
Yeah, that's the estimated, or we get the actual fraud costs, which came out from the court proceedings on the next page. The breach went back to at least 2005, while Gonzalez was still working for the Secret Service. So banks are actually, they were trying to get class actions done. I should have pulled that slide off because of that information is a little out of date. But in the court filings, fraud-related charges for Visa alone, they said on the record it was 68 million to 83 million of fraud that they confirmed into this case. Who knows whether or not that's real? They're going after TJX in court and everything else. They did have reports from 13 countries, and they estimate 94 million records were exposed. And I want to give you guys like to apply to all this. How did this happen? We know how this happened. It was web hacking. They drove up and down US 1 in Miami, and they started breaching organizations that had weak web encryption. Now, anybody see the 60 Minutes story that was kind of on this stuff? Well, it's kind of funny. So I pitched that story to the producer, met with them. I came out to Phoenix and drove around. I did some wireless sniffing for him. He's telling me where that camera's going to be, where the install's going to be sitting. I'm like, well, you realize I'm not going to break into these networks. That's kind of illegal. I will tell you that these are encrypted with a weak technology, and we can deal with that. They ended up going with other people as a result of me not being willing to make certain claims. So as we go on, what they did is they broke into a web. A former Morgan Stanley employee, a programmer, programmed malware, which is used in a number of cases. And they actually went ahead and used that to grab the card numbers, and then that's how they shipped it out. And in that same, we didn't know this at the time of TJX, but later we realized that DJ's Wholesale Club, Boston Market, Forever 21, Office Max, Sports Authority, and DSW were all affected by the same breach. I know Home Depot was also vulnerable because I found a bunch of their networks when I was doing some scanning, things along those lines. All right, round 2 with Mr. Gonzalez. April, December 2007, they started selling stickers on point-of-sale terminals at Dave & Buster's. In some cases, they physically accessed the stores to do this. They would walk in and they would install snippers on the devices. This wasn't all done wirelessly. At least $600,000 in fraudulent transactions from 675 cards taken from a single store. These are real numbers, hard numbers. And they finally arrested May 7, 2008. Round 3. He's indicted for